Every project lives within three constraints: cost, time, and scope. There are others to consider, and you may have your own, but no project escapes these three. Hi, my name is Pedro, and we need to talk about the triple constraint. As always, remember that this video is also available in French and Spanish on my channel. You see, depending on the goals of your project, the relevance and the weight of these variables change. Extending the scope could lead to an increased cost, which may impact the schedule as well. Sometimes extending the scope could impact time more than it does cost, but both could vary as a result. Perhaps you're leading a project where the schedule is a must-have, so extra costs might be required to ensure additional resources are present to speed things up. Or maybe the project requires minimizing costs, even at the expense of parts of the scope. The point is, changing one constraint will impact at least one other, and balancing them to the project goals is among the primary responsibilities of a project manager. Now, you may have come across a stakeholder or even a client stating something like this: the project must deliver all requirements within budget and on time. Well, there's once again a rather uncomfortable truth to face here. Let's do a quick thought exercise. This is a dartboard, and the dart represents a project, of which we only have one, as we're typically not allowed to go again if it fails. So we only have one attempt to succeed at this. Up here is the statement of our project's goal. Right now, there isn't one. So we have a 100% chance of succeeding, as a lack of goal means any outcome would be acceptable. If we add our first variable and divide our board into 10 vertical sections, we can now state a new objective. Hit the 7th strip from the left. No flexibility, no room for failure. That means that out of 10 possibilities, only one would be acceptable. So we have 1 in 10 chance of succeeding, which leaves us a 10% probability of reaching the new goal. But life is rarely so simple, and we now need to add a second constraint to our project. We divide the board into 10 horizontal sections, and we are only interested in the 7th one, so our new goal is to hit the 7th strip from both the left and the top of the board. Any other vertical or horizontal strip is hit and our project fails. Once again, there is a 1 in 10 chance to succeed at the second constraint. But since we need to reach it at the same time we try to reach the first one, we need to update our initial 10% to be left with just 1% chance. This is starting to look impossible. So it is the perfect time to add the third constraint, time. We now need to hit both targets at exactly the 51st second of any minute. As each minute has 60 seconds, there is a 1 in 60 chance of hitting the mark. And if we add that to our now very narrow set of possibilities, we end with a 0.017% probability of succeeding at this project. One may argue that becoming better at darts is feasible, hence our chances would definitely increase and numbers would not be so grim. But it's hard to deny that the stricter these constraints are, and the more we add to the project, the faster our probabilities decline. Or put in different terms, the faster we accelerate towards failure. This particular project, as is, could succeed about once in every 6,000 attempts. So, going back to our friend who gave us this mission with no doubt best intentions, we need to face the fact that entering a project intending to deliver all requirements within budget and on time is just setting ourselves up for the very unlikely. Certainly, it doesn't sound like starting on the right foot to tell a senior manager or an avid client that their project goals are a long shot because of some statistics. Then what can you do instead? Let's start with changing our own mindset. When you are facing a project for the first time, you have to spend time understanding its context and breaking it down into different moving parts. The triple constraint is no different, so it makes sense to run a conscious analysis to adapt our strategy. Our task is to assign one variable to each of these categories. One of them will be non-negotiable, so if not met, the project will most likely fail. Another will be the preferred one, meaning that as project managers we will do our best to make it as close as possible to the target, knowing that the project could suffer considerably otherwise. And then there is nice to have, for which the results can vary but only as long as it doesn't risk the project goals. Nice to have does not mean anything goes, it's just a way of understanding that we will need more flexibility for the constraint labeled as such. There will still be commitment as we are still bound by the project goals. All we are doing is to be cautious about not jumping headfirst into trying to do everything flawlessly. We must be strategic as project managers, and knowing the weights of these variables is key to adapting our planning and execution. Let's see together how this approach applies to 3 different projects. We have just started working with them and we need to determine non-negotiables, preferred and nice-to-have variables. Our first project is about securing a major software vulnerability. Definitely a stressful situation for those in charge, which requires prompt action but careful execution. Then we have a project for a new comedy film that is expected to release in the next summer season. While creativity tends to fuel individuals, money is what fuels most studios, so financial risk is an unavoidable conversation for this type of initiative. And finally, our last project aims to build a nuclear reactor to provide energy for a city, something we don't want to work on empirically. Here are 3 different industries in which different versions of the same problem arise. So let's have a look at them. To determine the non-negotiable for Project A, we need to think about its context. Major security vulnerabilities drag people from holidays, vacations, and their sleep. Those who have been through them know what I mean. There is no time to waste. The gap must be closed ASAP. So it should not come as a surprise that the most likely non-negotiable for this project is time. On the other hand, the film industry is just another form of business, but a high-risk one. No production could fly without investment, and even when available, it hardly ever becomes its most abundant resource. So cost limitations must be followed no matter what. That is the variable we need to be the most careful about. And then, while certainly expensive, regardless of being private or taxpayer funded, what matters most is both not causing a major disaster while solving a vital need such as electricity. We need to get it right, and for that, the scope needs to be exactly what it must be, or else the risk could be ludicrous. Let's now focus on our preferred variables. After putting all the possible focus on time, stopping security threats needs to be done properly. The scope of Project 8 must be as close to what's intended. There is a chance that minor concessions will need to be made for the sake of time, but the room for adapting is typically narrow. In the case of the filming project, knowing that the summer season is explicitly stated in the goal, it makes sense to consider that as the preferred variable. Christmas movies are expected in December, and a relaxed comedy makes more sense in summer when people are looking for fun, so time is very relevant. As for Project C, not bankrupting the city is rather preferable. The scope is a must-have, but the cost must follow closely or the new energy source risks staying in the blueprints. With just one more variable left for each project, it is tempting to just rule out the rest, but we need to analyze them equally to ensure our assessment is sound. For Project A, in the face of a major security vulnerability where the company's reputation might be at risk, there is little room to worry about the budget. The project needs to be done, or we might just not have a job tomorrow. For Project B, one would expect that getting the script, the acting, and the storyboard right is a no-brainer for producers and directors, but no amount of passion can compete with a tight budget and a challenging schedule, and this might explain why some movies release clearly flawed or plain broken. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Finally, large, highly technical construction projects need to take their time. Rushing could risk the quality of the final product or evaporate the budget as a result of poor planning, so it makes sense to consider time as the nice-to-have for the reactor. To wrap things up, let's discuss a few things worth remembering. Leading projects with a strategy that actively considers the triple constraint implies some key actions. Never overstate it. Start by talking to your stakeholders and spend time learning the goals of the project. Do not walk into a project, even if halfway through, aiming to just get tasks done. Get as close as possible to the decision makers and be clear on your mission to ensure the most critical aspects are delivered. Ensure you understand both the explicit and the implicit context of the project. The former is everything people are willing to put on emails, presentations, and documentation. But the latter is where, in my experience, the most useful indicators for adapting your approach lie. Make your mission to understand the underlying facts that could surge risk, issues, and misalignments. And for that, you will need to make the most out of your soft skills to get the information you need. So be wise. An indirect approach might work best. As much as it could sound deceiving to plainly ask someone in the project team you've just met about those things they would not put on paper, it could also sound alarming to ask a project sponsor about what variable would be nice to have. Focus on your goal, which is to lead the project in the best possible way. And start by asking questions about what matters most to stakeholders. You will come across the non-negotiable constraint very soon, and by talking to people and reading the context, you will soon learn which variable will be the preferred one. Ask about how much flexibility there could be for the third variable, and when that one stakeholder raises their eyebrow showing early signs of anxiety, let them know that you are fully committed to delivering the non-negotiable and preferred variables as close as possible to what's needed, but explain how having some room on the third will increase the chances of success. What you want is to adapt your strategy. Resources are limited and the team cannot be everywhere if they are to be efficient. If the scope is top priority, you must spend more time and effort ensuring quality in requirements and definition of tasks. Be very careful with hidden assumptions and do your best to bring them to light the moment you spot them. When the cost is non-negotiable, make sure you run risk management connected to the estimating and budget definitions. The least you want is to allow poor planning to halt the project halfway through because you have run out of budget. And when time is key, focus on developing the proper pace by choosing a life cycle that benefits the project the most. Predictive approaches will demand more carefully calculated timelines, while adapting ones will require clear rules to track progress and ensure rhythm. I have a video on my channel about PERT that can help you integrate risk management to cost and time estimates. Check it out if you'd like to add that tool to your kit. Do not forget that there are way more paths to failure than to success. One recipe for disaster is to make all three variables non-negotiable, so don't fall for the trap. I hope this video is of use to you. Its intention was to address the fact that, while attractive to management and clients, a project cannot deliver successfully while trying to remain adamant on scope, finishing at the exact date, and spending exactly how much was estimated at the same time. Let me know in the comments below if you have seen yourself trying to juggle with all three constraints. How did it go for you? Would you have done things differently after watching this video? Thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you in the next one.